Hey guys, happy June. I came on a couple of minutes early to let everybody, to give YouTube and everybody in the social media world the notification that I came on. So, this is your last call to get water, to get snacks, to put me on your headphones or whatever you have to do. Prop me up while you meal prepping or cooking or whatever y'all are doing today. Happy June, guys. All right, let me just make sure while I have a couple minutes, excuse me, that we are live and in person. Once you get to the chat, please let me know you're here. Excuse me. Let me know that you're here. I'm drinking this. You guys may have seen me post about this. Topo Chico, shout out to my accountability client, Tiffany. Shout out to her. She told me about Topo Chico. This is sparkling water. This has nothing to do with our conversation tonight, but since I'm just waiting on everybody, it has, I can't even see it, but it's zero calories, zero, 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 zero. Hey, Dr. Willette. Hey, Dr. Willette. Good to see you again. Thank you for being here. I love this stuff. And I was supposed to drink it before I got on live, but I didn't. So I may drink this. And then I also have some still water. So if you see me drinking out of two things, we listen, but we don't judge. Okay. I'm really excited about our conversation tonight. Hey, hello, hello. Make certain that you guys subscribe. We have 1 minute before we get started. I'm sitting up here drinking. Let me get my notes so I can tell y'all, I can talk to you. I'm really excited about this conversation because I think that this checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. And I try to think about, I'll wait till 4 o'clock. No, I'm not. I'm gonna talk. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching replay. If you are here live, thank you for being here. Okay, so that took my 2 minutes. Okay, officially welcome everybody. I am Lynette Williams, aka Operation Sexy Body, and I am a women empowerment coach. And basically, I help women all across the world lead healthy and fulfilling lives. And I use fitness as my mode of therapy. It is my personal belief that the dedication, focus, and intention behind your physical and nutritional life spills over into other aspects of your life and makes you a happier, healthier, more whole person. There are a lot of parallels between fitness and life, and they are not mutually exclusive, but I think that for our conversations and the way that I choose to my practice is one, by example, and number two, by helping clients see the parallels because it's not as obvious to certain people as it may be to others. So, welcome. I do these talks on the first of every single month, rain or shine. The only time I didn't do it is when I was sick and my whole house was down with the flu. That was February. But other than that, the first of every month is just a great time. It's a great way to start off the month. It's a great way, especially if the first is on like a Monday. Any day of the week is great, but the first is just like this refreshing new month, new start, new you. So I have come to like it for the last couple of years. Hey Tamra. Hey Tamra. Hey mommy. Hey Maureen. Hi guys. Thank you for commenting. All right, make certain that you keep commenting, keep asking questions. But today I want to talk to you guys briefly about making habits that stick. Officially, how to build habits that stick, a woman's guide to lasting change. And if you have notes, if you have questions, please feel free to comment them real time. There's not going to be a question and answer period at the end. Of course, I'll make certain that all of your questions are addressed to the best of my ability at the end. But as I say something, if it pricks your spirit, absolutely make certain that you ask in real time. All right. So I want to talk to you about how I became um, insanely focused on habits and how it is now, I won't say easy, but it's much easier for me to implement new habits based on how this started. So, 14 years ago, I was obese and I was clinically obese, not just big boned, not just a little thick in the thighs, not slim in the waist, big in the hips. I was clinically obese. My BMI was about a 34. And for my height and weight, which is 5'4", I should have been 145 pounds. I was close to 200 pounds. And although I did not look unhealthy, I was very unhealthy from a molecular standpoint, from a biological standpoint. And at that point, I had not had kids. I hadn't even tried to have kids. And I knew that I wanted to be a mom someday. I knew I wanted to be better, right? Like, not just, have kids, but I just kind of wanted to feel better and be better. And I felt like I had an unhealthy relationship with food because I attempted to use food as my coping mechanism. Some of you guys may relate. If you do, feel free to say amen or out or just sit and watch. But when I was happy, I would celebrate because I deserve a treat. When I was sad, I would use food to comfort me. When I was bored, I would go out to eat. I would call up a friend. Hey, let's go out to eat. I will open up the refrigerator 3 and 4 and 5 times, seeing the same thing, but seeing, what do I have a taste for? Nothing, because you're not hungry. You're just bored. Like, go get a hobby. So my turning point, and I think we all have a turning point in our life, and I think that we can all remember what our turning point was in life. And for some, it may be a health scare. For me, thankfully, it was not, but it was a simple word from a new doctor. Oh, I see you guys commenting. Let me make certain. Okay, yes. Okay. Hey, Christina, thank you for commenting. Yes. So everybody has had, Maureen says, yes, I can definitely relate. So we all have had our moments. And my moment, switched to a new doctor. My doctor at the time left and I needed a new doctor. So, just pick somebody on the list. And he said, well, Lynette, your labs look fine. And, you know, other than your being obese, your labs were great. I said, I was so offended. Like, immediately, I was offended. I'm like, sir, I am in a size 12. I should have been in a 16, but that's another story for another time. And I said, how do you figure that I'm obese? And he said, well, based on your height to weight ratio, you should be 140. I think it's like 142 to 145 pounds. Now, me being at that time young and close to 200 pounds, if not right at it, I said, hey, Darlene, I said, there is no way. There's no that I could be 145 pounds because, and you guys again may relate to this, sometimes goals and where you should be are so far-fetched that you can't even fathom how that can even be plausible. Not even possible, but possibility of the plausibility of the possibility is just wild. It's like, sir, what are you talking about? Like, I'm 200 pounds. You expect me to lose like 50, 60 pounds? All right, so fast forward, he said, and when he said the word obese, I said, Tamara said she felt a lump in her breast. That was her defining moment. Thank you for sharing that. We all have that defining moment. And so for me, sitting in that doctor's office, I said, oh no, I am not gonna be a statistic. I'm too young for this. It doesn't really matter how old you are because we're all too young to be a statistic, right? But I really wanted to make a change. Now, there was nothing wrong, quote unquote, that I knew of at the time. Um, and I just really wanted to be better. So it was at that moment that I decided to choose myself. So you guys may hear me say, get up, get active, and do something for yourself and choose yourself and be selfish before you're selfless. But that comes from a really deep place. And it's not, I mean, yes, it's catchy, it's cute, it looks great on t-shirts, but the moral of it is a really intrinsic look at how you show up in the world. And so if you can't show up for yourself, if you can't commit to yourself, if you can't be courageous and bold, set boundaries, which we talked about last month. So if you didn't catch it, go look at that one. If you can't do that for yourself with your fitness and life, things that you 100% control, how do you expect other people to respect you? How do you expect other people to respect how you show up? It's not possible. It's not possible. It's not plausible. All right. So one of the number one questions, and you guys, thank you guys for commenting. So feel free to continue to do that. One of the number one questions that I get so often is, what time do you wake up? It's 3:10 a.m. Okay, put that on record. 3:10 a.m. What time do you go to bed? Around 8:30. But the number one question that I get is, how do you stay so motivated? And to be 100% honest, I'm not. I am not always motivated, and motivation is overrated. I have systems, and I have learned to implement my systems from rain or shine. And so systems can be updated just like on your computer or your phone, whatever you are watching me on, you have there's always an update. There's always a software update, and your phone is not going to function optimally. Your computer is not going to function optimally if you don't upgrade it and if you don't delete some of that storage. Some of y'all are overworked. Some of y'all have too much on your plate that you cannot be successful. So imagine layering in something that you don't even wanna do in the first place. Imagine layering in a stress on top of all the stress that you have because you have no system. You just wake up and you're like, "Okay, what am I gonna do today?" It's already too late. One of the things that I teach my accountability group members is a principle called deload and reload, which is basically systems and things that we plan, specific things that we do right before bed and um, right as soon as we wake up. Hey, Ashley, glad to have you. Systems. It's all about systems. Our life is one big system. If you don't do that update on your phone or your computer or whatever device, you will not be able to do anything. You ever wait for, like, an update and you're like, "This update is never coming through." Once it's done, it's like, "Oh my goodness, my phone works so much faster. Oh my gosh, I can get into applications." True story. True story. I hear a kid crying. I hear a kid crying. She's I think. My husband's upstairs, so we're okay. True story, Tamara can attest to this because we were having the same issue. My computer, brand new computer, not brand new, but it's a brand new computer because I got it a couple of years ago, but I don't use it that often. But it just would not work. I couldn't do any software upgrades. I couldn't open applications. Stuff was shutting down left or right, and so I had to call Apple and say, "Hey, I can't do anything." And he remote accessed my computer and said, "Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a hard reset. I'm gonna have to delete everything." And so before you or someone you love dearly gets to the point where you have to do a hard reset, when you get that notification that your storage is almost full, metaphorically speaking, when you get that lump in your breast, as Tamara said, when you get that word from the doctor that you're obese, when you get certain things that happen in your life, you gotta create a system because motivation isn't gonna take that away. You can't be motivated to change your life if you don't have systems because what'll happen is you'll start getting success and then you will, um sorry, okay, husband has it. What'll happen is you'll continually be motivated until you're not motivated anymore, and then you go back down the slide. And then you'll be motivated, motivated, motivated because you're losing weight, you're seeing your clothes fit better, you are, um, feeling better, looking great, and then vacation happens, and then you fall off, and then a life event happens, and then you fall off, and so you have this life of yo-yoing. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt a number of times, and so for me, September 22nd, 15 years ago, this September 22nd, was my wake-up call because it wasn't about losing the weight. It was keeping the weight off. A lot of the issues that you have in your life is not about being successful, it's about the consistency of being successful. And what does success look like? One of the other conversations that we talk about is growth versus achievement, right? Like, am I so focused on knocking things off the list that I miss my growth opportunity? So a lot of times when I talk to people or potential clients who wanna lose a certain amount of weight, who wanna implement new systems, it's like, "Oh, I have this event coming up. I wanna lose 10 pounds by this point." And I'll say, "Why?" And they'll say, "Oh, because I have this event coming up." And I'm like, "Well, if you looked in the mirror and liked how you looked and felt, would you care what the scale says?" Most people would say, "No, I wouldn't care." But the problem is there is such a discrepancy between how we feel and look and what we see in the mirror. We gotta change that, and the only way to change that is through systems. Quincy says, "Yes." All right. So While motivation is important, so don't hear that motivation you can throw out the window. It is important, but creating an environment that supports your habit way more effective than relying on your willpower. Have you ever said to yourself when it's time to do something, "Oh, I don't feel like it. I'm going to work. I'm going to pick somebody up, eating right or cooking, working out, meal prepping, anything." We've said, "Oh, I don't feel like it." But you know if you don't do it, that there are gonna be significant repercussions. Well, what happens is we are so healthy until we're not. We are so driven until we're not. We are so successful until we're not. And so there becomes this big gap of getting to where we are to where we wanna be, and we have no idea how to do it. I've tried to lose weight 1,000 times. I've lost weight and I've gained it back and then some because you have no system. You have no sustainable system. And a lot of people it's like a all or nothing type thing. Like, I'm not gonna eat bread. Okay, just bear with me for 1 second. Let me just get on a little bit of a tangent. At the top of the year, when I see a lot of influencers and a lot of people say, "I'm giving up bread, I'm giving up sugar, I'm giving up pop, I'm giving or soda, I'm giving up, all processed foods, I'm giving up all this stuff." And then you have people at the end of the month like, "Yeah, I lost all this weight, and it's great." Great. Until you start eating that stuff again because there's no system to it. It's like, why are you doing that? For 15 years no, let's see. Yeah, almost 18 years, I didn't eat beef or pork. From high school all the way up, 15 years past high school, I didn't eat beef or pork. I don't eat beef or pork. And then my iron got so low that my doctor was like, "Either I'm gonna put you on iron pills or you need to start eating more foods with, a little bit more iron in them." So, of course, green leafy vegetables, of course. But my husband started making me a 2-ounce, maybe not even that big, maybe 1.5 ounce, grass-fed ribeye steak once a week. I went back 3 months later, my iron was fine. And it's like 'cause doctors are always gonna wanna put you on pills, right? And sometimes pills are necessary, but other times there are things that we can do to mitigate that. So anyway, I was talking about motivation. Willpower, motivation is only gonna get you that far. To take you to the next step, you're gonna have to have a system. So I want you to comment, if you can, yes or no, to if you feel like you have great sustainable systems. I'm not asking you what system it is, I'm not asking in what area of the system that it falls under, but do you feel like overall you have great sustainable systems? Christina says, "I agree, I definitely need a new system. I just had a birthday. Happy birthday." Oh, last Saturday. Okay, happy birthday. And I turned 32 and I am at my biggest. I'm 249 and I'm only 5'2". You are so inspiring and I'm taking notes. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So listen, Christina, and to everyone, your issue may not be being overweight, wanting to lose weight. I don't know what to do. It may be I'm in a job that I want to get out of and I can't because this is where my skill set is. Or I really want to venture out into being an entrepreneur and I have no idea where to start. It is anyone and anything that has a gap between where I am and where I need to be. That could be in any area of life. Darlene says, "I stopped saying that I'm not going to eat certain things. I began to cut back and that system began to work." That system began to work. Her system is she's a flexitarian. She eats what she wants to eat when she wants to eat based on her goals and based on how her body feels. That works. Maureen says, "Yes, but I need to be consistent." Systems are consistency. Systems are consistency. There is no way to have a system and be inconsistent. It's impossible for that. All right, so my next point is, kinda what changed, and I just said it, but I just kinda wanna make certain that you understand because I get off topic, but it all flows together. Um, Willpower wasn't enough because the desire and the capacity for you to do something is there, but the systems aren't. So you can will yourself. to working out, you can will yourself to meal prepping, you can will yourself to do all kind of things, to take classes, to get degrees, to volunteer, to do all you can will yourself to do anything. But the least thing that comes into your life that disrupts it, everything goes down the drain. You can't live life like that. God does not want us to live a life like that of inconsistency. He promised us life and life more abundantly, and an abundant life isn't one of inconsistency. And a lot of and also too, Imma put a pin in this and then Imma move on. A lot of times, the systems that you implement aren't just for you. They're for somebody who's looking at you, that you have no idea is looking at you. That the only way that they're able to do the little amount that they are able to do is because they see you doing a little that you can do. So if everybody did the little things that they could and had as much willpower and developed as many systems as they could to be able to just make it to the next day, if everybody had that, man, we would be in a great place. Because we would be inspired and motivated by others, but since we have our own internal system, we would be excited about the consistency that we're creating in our life. And it would influence other people to create that consistency too. I cannot tell you how many times people and I'm so grateful that will say something along the lines of, wow, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I know that you're already up. Now, that may not be your ministry. 3 a.m. ministry is not your ministry, and that is okay. But for me right now, the system that I need is to get up at that time so that I can be prepared for my day, so I can be prepared for my children, so I can be prepared for my husband and my family, and to do everything that I need to do and to be in the correct place. It won't always be. I've been doing it now. Skylar is almost 9. Oh, she's almost 9. But I've been doing this when I was in corporate America, so maybe 20 20 years I've been doing early mornings because I know that for me, that is the system that I created and developed, and it works. Any other system that I've tried when I was in corporate America and I had to go into work, I would try to work out at my lunch break, so I was still working out every day, but I was exhausted. I had to be at work 10 hours, like swipe in to swipe out 10 hours. I would take my lunch break, take a change of clothes. At the time, I was wearing a wig. It was just a lot. And so the system was, all right, if I since I can't work out in the morning, I'm gonna work out at my lunch break. Lunch break comes, I go to the gym. I can't focus at work. I'm sweating. I left my wig at home, so now I gotta take out my braids. I don't have a ponytail holder. I had a dog, a new dog at the time, so I'm like, I gotta rush, so I felt guilty about leaving a dog. It's like the system wasn't working. And so you gotta figure out a system, an implementation of a system that works for you, and it's not necessarily going to look like someone else's system. And I think a lot of times, especially with the influx of social media, we have this comparison, like, obsession. It's like, "Oh, I wanna get up at 3 o'clock too." Why? Why would you do that? Because the second I don't have to do that, I may or may not do that. But it's like, yes, be motivated, be inspired by people, right? But don't allow someone else's system that they've been creating and revamping for possibly decades to prevent you from identifying what system works for you. All right, Dr. Willette, which part? I was just rambling. Tell me which part you want me to repeat, and I absolutely will. Okay, so I wanna talk about, for a second, the weight, right? Because I think weight is such a taboo topic, right? It's like, "Oh, I can't talk about weight," or if somebody is gaining weight, you don't wanna say nothing. If they lose weight, well, I don't know if I should say anything because they may be sensitive about it. Um, but when I lost the weight, for me, I didn't know that I had that much weight to lose. I said to myself, "I probably lose like 20 pounds," and to me, at that point, that seemed like mind blowing, right? So to go from, like, almost 200 to my lowest, which is 135, it really unlocked something in my brain, in my system, in my aura, in my psyche, in my spiritual life, in my mental life, in my physical life, my emotional life, and I truly rebuilt my life. There's no like, if had you told me when I was almost 200 pounds that I would be an empowerment coach empowering women to lead healthier lives, I'm like, as obese as I am, it was unfathomable. But you have to know that when you follow what you are supposed to do, and you have the systems in order to be able to get there, you have no idea where that could take you, and that is the parallel that I try to make every single client of mine see. It's like what you are doing and the systems that you are creating, they're not just gonna be over here in this little bubble. They're gonna affect everything in your life, and they're gonna affect everyone in your life, okay? Alright, so I rebuilt my life. Let me talk to you about habits and a myth. Talk to you about motivation. It's not about motivation all the time, it's about systems. Also, shocker, you don't have to be perfect. I could do a whole 'nother session about perfectionism, but there is so much pressure around doing everything right, about, going on vacation and eating. I can't tell y'all the amount of messages that I got. I don't know if you guys saw, but I just came back from vacation with my husband. I was supposed to French toast with syrup. I had sushi rice. I had all kind of stuff. People are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you eat that." Well, why not? I usually eat things on vacation. We went on vacation a couple years ago, and we went to Hawaii, and I had ubi pancakes every day. I gained 10 pounds. I was so mad at my husband. I was like, "Why did you let me eat these pancakes every day?" He's like, "Okay, you think Imma come between you and pancakes? No, ma'am." Um, thankfully, I lost the weight within that week. We went on vacation this time. I gained 8 pounds. I've lost it already. So tomorrow would be a week since we've come back. So, lost all the weight. The point is I got to the point where I wasn't afraid of weight anymore. Why? Because I had systems. There was a point early on in my journey that I was so afraid of gaining weight that I wouldn't eat. I would be like, "I don't wanna eat that." Not that I had a problem, because there is a section when you go too far, because now people are looking, right? Now people see that you've lost weight. Now people are seeing you have implemented. Now people are seeing you put your business out there. Now people are seeing and commenting. So now there's this extra layer of pressure of all these eyes on you. So you tend to do unhealthy behaviors, especially when you're new, whatever it is. You tend to do unhealthy behaviors because you wanna maintain what people see, and you can't do that. What I tell people and what I'm telling you, create sustainable habits, create a system, you'll never have to worry about gaining weight. You'll never have to worry about being in a position that you don't know how to get out of because you have a system. When people put it like this, when people, disrespect you and you say, "Imma give them 3 strikes and then they out," on that 3rd strike, it's not like, "Well, maybe it's 3 and a possible." No, you have set a boundary to say, "Listen, when you have crossed me, when I have felt disrespected or whatever, maybe it's the first time, that's your system. Maybe it's 3 strikes, you're out, maybe that's that system, but you stay steadfast in that system." And for me, it was, I don't care how long it takes me to lose the weight, I'm gonna lose this weight for the last time. I'm tired of buying all these clothes in my closet. It's super expensive to have sizes. At that point, I had sizes 8 through 14 in my closet. So to do that for multiple seasons, it's expensive. And it's like, I'm gonna let something control me that I have 100% control over? That's wild. But at the time, I was so blindsided by the mountain that I felt like I had to climb that I just didn't know how to get out of it. And what I quickly realized is like, I gotta have a system. I gotta get up early. At that time, I didn't have kids. I gotta get up early. I gotta grocery shop. I gotta meal prep. I have to make certain that I do not eat out. I had certain things, and so you gotta create your system. All right, so let me talk about, I just said that you don't need perfection, you need consistency. So I wanna get a little bit into the consistency part. All right, so I wanna talk to you about something called the habit loop. The habit loop is when habits are built through a process that involves a trigger, which is a cue, a desire for something, which is a craving, a response to that something craving, which is an action and a reward. So what that means is, I'll take weight loss because that's just top of head, and that is exactly what we're talking about now. So my trigger is I burst out of my pants, or I feel like my big jeans are not fitting anymore. So that was a trigger and a cue that I need to do something different. So my desire for something, meaning I want to lose weight, I create a system that gives me the action, and then my system is starting to work. So that is the response to craving. And now my reward is that my fat pants are now too big. So when you recognize what your triggers are, that is the first step to saying, "Okay, I need to create a system around this." If there is anything in your life that is creating, it could be shopping, it could be spending, it could be you being in debt, it could be, relational, right? Like, every time this person calls, it's a tailspin. So your trigger is when that person calls you, don't answer or block the number. That's an even better system. You have to set I did boundaries last month because we couldn't have this healthy habit conversation if you don't understand conceptually about setting boundaries. All are boundaries are for you as well as for other people in your life, okay? Atomic habits is another topic that I wanted to kind of pinpoint. When you focus on small incremental changes, like you've heard people say, "I just wanna get 1% better every day. By the end of the year, I'll be 365% better," something like that. It can lead to significant results over time. Number 1, they're easier to implement. And number 2, it doesn't require drastic change. Again, I was talking about atomic habits earlier when I was talking about how at the beginning of the year, people take out all this stuff in their diet, and yes, it's marketable, it is catchy, it gets a lot of people excited, and of course, you want people, especially at the beginning of the year, you want people to be excited about a new year, new you, new me, it's me versus me, like, you want people to be excited about that. But what happens is, it really creates an environment for significant failure because it gives this all or nothing mentality. In reality, there's a lot of gray. There's a lot of gray in your life right now, and that's okay as long as you have systems. All right. I want to talk about your environment because I think that this is important too. Your environment can either support or hinder your habit formation. So you cannot be good evening, Oil. You cannot be a person who wants to be an entrepreneur hanging around people who don't want to be entrepreneurs, who think that being an entrepreneur is crazy. Um, why would you want to work for yourself when you can work for somebody else and get a check and get a good pension? You don't wanna be seeking a relationship, hanging out with single friends who, desire to just hang out and never commit to anyone. You can't be a person who wants to lead a healthy and fulfilling lifestyle and your friends only wanna go eat. There's so many other things to do than to go eat, right? Like, my birthday party this year was a Pilates party. Some of you guys came, thank you. But I'm like, I could have a dinner. I could do a shindig and, possibly I will eventually in another for another time or another event. But I'm like, there are so many things that you can do aside from eating that don't revolve around eating, but our society is so focused and our environment is like when somebody gets married, all you do is eat. When somebody die, all you do is eat. When somebody is celebrating anything, you gotta have food. You volunteer, you gotta have food. Ain't no food here. Um, and it's it's an uphill battle to kinda reframe and shift your mind, but it's completely possible with your Alright, alright, so I wanna talk about systems, making systems over achieving goals. So instead of focusing on achieving specific goals, I want you to prioritize creating systems and routines that will drive progress. So I'm going to ask you, which area in your life right now needs the most system? I can't drink the Topo Chico. It's making me cough. What area in your life needs the most system? Is it your nutrition? Is it personally? Right? Healing oil says exercise. What about exercise? Like knowing what to do or finding the time to commit to X amount of days. And that's another thing too. Like at the beginning of every year for the last couple of years, I ask you guys to commit to a certain number of workouts per year. And it's not to compare your number against anyone else. Um, but it's to set a goal and it's to have a system. Hey, in order to reach my 200 number goal workout a year, I have to work out X amount of days a month, which means I have to work out X amount of days in a week. And so that's an easy trackable system to see if I'm on track, right? So you can just say, "Oh, I worked out more than I did last year." How do you know? Are you tracking it? How are you creating a system around being better, being more, doing more? How do you do that? So I asked healing oil. She said exercise was like an area that she needed the most help in. And so then I asked a clarifying question. She says, time to commit, not being lazy, self motivation. You got to create a system because once you kind of snowball into um, the system of like, okay, if I want to exercise, let's just take exercise, and then I see one. Um, I'll see another one and I'll go into that one. If I wanna exercise more, I don't wanna be lazy. Lazy is a self-inflicted term. No one will call you lazy because you don't work out. That's a personal thing. And I will be careful about what we call ourselves. I'm not saying that you are calling yourself lazy, but I'm just as a general rule of thumb, we gotta be careful about how we talk to ourselves because what we say, we believe. And there is power in the tongue. So when we say that we can say that we don't have a lot of motivation. Again, I said at the beginning, motivation is overrated. You got to have a system and you have to see your why. Like no one in their right mind would choose to wake up at 3 o'clock every day. I mean, no one gets excited like, woohoo, I get to wake up at 3 o'clock tomorrow. No, no, you're not going to be motivated to do that. But my why is so much bigger than 3 o'clock. Like, I would wake up at 2 o'clock. I've awakened at in the 1 o'clock hour because I've had an early flight before, and people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, "Mm-mm, it's my system. It's your system, and you can think I'm crazy or not, but it works for me, and your system works for you." Dr. Willette says, "It means getting it over and done first thing, that way, no matter what happens, my workout is completed." That is called AKA, I'm choosing myself. 'Cause nobody else is gonna choose you first. No one is gonna choose you over themselves. I'm not gonna choose you over me. Why would I do that? But you don't choose yourself, so who's gonna choose you? Nobody. You have to choose yourself because there is gonna come a time when your health is the only thing that you may have. One of my accountability, clients, her family member got in a really, really bad car accident, and, he's up in age, car flipped, punctured lungs, bad. He was able to crawl from the car to the road, back to the car because he couldn't find his cell phone, to push the panic button and wait for somebody to find him. Now, an elderly person now, I don't even know if I could sustain that, right? But it's like you wanna put yourself in the best position and best place to be the most effective for as long as you possibly can. And if it means choosing yourself and getting up and moving your body, there's gonna come a time where you're gonna want to, and you're just not going to be able to. When I was sick with the flu, I could not do anything, and it killed me because I'm like, "My system is disrupted, I don't feel like myself because I'm sick." I was sick, but I think because I was in such great health, praise God that I am in great health. I don't think that I got it as bad as I would have had I not been. All right. So I talked about habit stacking. So let me kind of go into the 5 keys of habit success. And then I have 2 more things and I'll let you guys go. So I talked already about starting small, which are the habit stacking, and I'll go into that a little bit more. So habit stacking is starting small and building on top of that. Remember we talked earlier about being better 1% every single day, that's habit stacking. So, if we're talking about exercise, so a great example of habit stacking is set your alarm. Don't just wake up. You'd be amazed at the amount of people who just wake up, go to bed whenever, and just wake up. I have a bedtime alarm and I have a wake up alarm. When that bedtime alarm goes off, if I'm not in the bed, I'm like, I don't care what is going on. I am getting in the bed because my system says that I have to get up in the morning. So if I don't go to bed at night, I can't get up in the morning. System. So my alarm is set. So set your alarm at either bedtime and or wake up time. And then you have the first thing I always think about is, "Can I go work out any other time?" 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. You cannot go work out any other time, so get up. So just get up. Literally get up. The hardest part of waking up early or waking up and doing something that you really don't wanna do is just getting out of the bed. Get out the bed. Like, literally, just get out of the bed. And then once you stumble to the bathroom or stumble to wherever you go first, just put on your clothes. Like, don't even think about it. Like, it's almost like an out of body experience. And so the little habits. So if I don't feel motivated to work out, I can't even worry about working out right now. I first got to get up. No, no, no. I first have to go to bed. So if I can't even worry about being consistent and working out if I'm not consistent and going to bed on time. I can't even worry about working out if I'm not going to bed on time and then waking up at a certain time every day. I can't even worry about working out if I don't go to bed on time and if I don't wake up at a certain time and I don't meal prep because I'm not fueled appropriately. I can't even worry about exercise if I'm not drinking my water. I can't even worry about that. So before you start implementing systems to do stuff, you gotta create a foundational habit stack that you can say, "All right, now that I've sustained this habit," you can't go from working out at all to 300 days in a year. Yeah, I mean, you could technically, but I mean, we can do anything we put our mind to, right? But it's not sustainable because you reach these goals and then you're like, "Oh, wow, I'm here, and I don't know how I got here, and I don't know how I'm gonna stay here," and that's what happens when we do unhealthy behaviors to get from where we are to where we wanna be. Number 1, we don't know how to effectively get there, and number 2, we don't know how to stay there. So, yes, when I lost my weight, I've lost weight before. It was easy. You could eat McDonald's and lose weight, right? But it wasn't about the losing the weight at all. So in your life, it's not about being motivated, it's about being consistent. It's about the systems. Okay. So we talked about habit stacking. So habit stacking is 1. Number 2 is anchor habit. So when we start habit stacking, we stack new habits onto old ones. So not only is it habit stacking, but then you have anchor habits. So once you start habit stacking, say that 3 times fast. Once you start habit snacking, it's not snacking, habit snacking, then you have your anchor habits. So you're like habit stack, habit stack, habit stack, and then now you have an anchor, right? So you do so many little tiny things, now you have a strong anchor. And so now you have this system that works. So I just talked about, not even focusing on the system of working out because there you may work out a couple days and then take a month off, right? The little habit of going to bed on time, waking up on time, whatever time that is, getting your sleep, 'cause if you sleep, you're not gonna have the physical, mental, or emotional capacity to work out or to even eat right because your head is not even there. So you gotta do those habits first. You gotta anchor in those, nail those, and then move on, okay? Number 3 is design your environment. Out of sight, out of mind works it's like a double-edged sword. So, yeah, I may not I'm consistent in my diet because I don't buy certain things. I am not personally, I don't know about you, I am not the type of person that can have stuff in the house and me not wanna nibble. As far as as far and as long as I've been in this space, avocation of self, motivation, health, wellness, health and fitness, mom, fit mom, motivation coach. Let me tell you something, okay? I get down when I get down if I desire. Now, have there been things in the house? There are things in the house right now, um, that I wouldn't typically eat and have no desire to eat them, but generally speaking, right? Um, you have to get over out of sight, out of mind works only for so long. But if you have systems, which is what I'm in now, that still doesn't bother me because I have a system. Because I'm like, I'm not coming off a vacation still nibbling. I've had enough nibbles. Okay. So while you are in your system, in your life of, let me give you an example of designing your environment. So we talked a little bit about, entrepreneurs hanging around people who are, totally fine with 9 to 5s. There's nothing wrong with any industry, right? It's all a person. But you have to make certain that the environment that you are existing in supports your goal. So you gotta if you're trying to be a positive person, you cannot take phone calls from people who all they wanna do is gossip. You ever have such a great day and you see somebody calling, you're like, should I answer?" And then you answer, and then you get off the phone like, "Ew, I shouldn't have answered." You can't have that in your life. A lot of people think that you can do both. Like, you can be positive, you can reach for your goals, you can, be successful in life, and still not be optimal in your health, and still not entertain foolishness. And they are not mutually exclusive. They coexist. So you can't dichotomize yourself like that. You have to be in an environment that supports your growth, that supports where you wanna be. That's just the bottom line. Okay, so number 1, again, was habit stacking. Number 2 was anchor habits. Number 3 was about designing your environment. And number 4 of 5 is about celebrating micro wins. I think so often we are black and white. I wanna lose 20 pounds, but you don't celebrate the 2 that you lost. Yes, you may wanna lose 20, but what about these 2? So get the 2 off, so every pound you lose, you look on the scale and say, "I'll never see that number again." Every pound you lose, celebrate because it's like, this is a pound that I would not have lost had I not had the system, and I'm so proud of myself. And because society, social media, even friends and family will make you think that unless you're doing something grand, that it's not worth celebrating. I couldn't believe they didn't have my baby at kindergarten graduation, like, "Oh, it's just kindergarten." What do you mean it's just kindergarten? It is kindergarten. It is a big deal. I think kids should graduate every year from every grade because it's a big deal, right? So, celebrating your micro wins and however that looks, like, it could be like a reward jar. I just had a conversation with a client yesterday in my meeting who um, was working on something totally not related to fitness or exercise, but I'm like, "Hey, every time you do something towards your goal, pay yourself. Put it in a jar, and once you get to your goal, then you can use that money to do whatever you wanna do to reward yourself." It's not food, so it's not a negative coping mechanism to get, rewarded for a negative behavior, but number 1, it's a visual. You can see your growth. And so a lot of times if we have to lose 20 pounds and we've only lost 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, we're like, "Man, I've only lost 10." No, that's 10 pounds, that's a big deal. But if you see this physical manifestation, this jar, this money, it is a sign that I'm on the right track and I can be continually motivated. So figure out something that you can or how you can celebrate your micro wins and celebrate on your road to your journey, how to continue to motivate yourself. Kim C says, "Yes, small wins matter." They absolutely do. Alright, and number 5 is the power of identity. I really love this one because This is an example I have. I'm a woman who prioritizes her health versus I'm trying to eat better. Don't pinhole yourself into just one little thing. I am a person who prioritizes my health, my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, because they all intertwine together. So, how do you identify? Do you identify as someone who's lazy, like we just talked about? Do you identify as someone who is progressive in their attempt to change their life? Do you identify as a person who is in transition? Do you identify how do you identify? And that's a question for you guys to think about. Like, how do I show up? Like, when I think about myself, what comes up? Or when people think about me, what comes up? Or what do I think comes up? Because how you identify yourself is how you're gonna show up for yourself, which is how other people are gonna see you. So when I, sleep in crud and all kinda hair all over the place at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, "Hey, y'all, I'm here." I identify as someone who believes in themselves, and I believe that I am not going to allow how I feel to dictate my assignment. I am not going to allow how I feel mitigate the obedience that I know that I need to have, that God has put on the inside of me to be obedient and to reward my obedience and being a vessel for people to see and implement whatever obedience and whatever consistency that they have in their life. That is how I identify, and I am proud of my identity. You gotta think, am I proud of my identity? Am I proud of how I show up? Am I proud of how I present myself? Am I proud of how other people see me? And again, the external validation doesn't really matter, but it's a consideration of, wow. You ever have a conversation and then the person responds, you're like, "What conversation were you listening to? That's not even what I said." Well, when you have a discrepancy on how you see yourself versus how the world sees you, that's a lack of consistent identity. That's a lack of systems. 'Cause you're whimsical one minute and you're dedicated the next minute. You don't wanna be that. You wouldn't want a person in your life to be inconsistent, so why are you inconsistent with yourself? You want people to show up on time. Maybe you're a supervisor, maybe you have responsibilities, in your job, right? You want people to adhere to their responsibilities, or maybe you even volunteer, right? There's a lot of, systems. Volunteer, you gotta check in, you gotta get your name tag, you gotta show up on time, you gotta sign out, you gotta respond to your emails, like, you have to do a lot of things, but how do you identify with that? Do you rise to the occasion, or do you figure out any way to get out of it? There are things that you need to do in your life, and are you doing it? Consistency, systems, because you can't work out and eat right and then not go for your other goals that you have. It doesn't work like that. It spills all over. Thank you, Maureen, for typing, the 5. So I'll go over them again really quick. So 1 is habit stacking, 2 are anchor habits, 3 is about designing our environment, 4 is about celebrating micro wins, and then 5 is the power of identity. So I'll do, 1 more 2 more things, and I'm gonna let you guys go because it's about time. How do you overcome, right? So, like, we have this system. I know how to develop my system now. I'm gonna habit stack. And then I'm gonna have my anchor habits. I'm gonna design my environment. Like, I'm gonna do all these things. But what happens when I slip up? And that'll happen. We'll gain weight. We'll not meal prep. We won't wake up at 3 o'clock. We won't do certain things. So how do you bounce back? You bounce back with the system. I never have to worry about gaining weight because if I gain weight, it's okay. But I have a system that I know that I can implement to be able to overcome that. And that was not always the case. And it is a very freeing feeling to be able to have such a proven system that now the worry that I have in life or the worry that or the things that I'm, concentrating on doing, that is not one of them. And the system that you said on the chat in the chat or thought in your head about the system that you need to implement, that is gonna be your slippery slope. Because if you do not create a system around whatever that was, you're gonna find yourself at the bottom of the hill looking up and saying, "How did I get here? How do I get out?" And you have to be able to say, "You know what? The only thing I can do is work the system." That's the only thing you can do. So your challenge is going to be creating a system that gets you from where you wanna be, from where you are to where you wanna be. It could be it could be your desire to move to a different place. So the system would be creating a budget, first of all, to see where you are as far as your income and outgoing expenses to figure out, is this even plausible? Because the only thing that you could be focused on is finding a new place. And then you get the new place and you house poor or apartment poor, and then you don't have any way to sustain to get there. And then you have to sell it or move out, and you have no system. And I know I keep saying system, but I mean, it's truly the saving grace, and it has been for myself as well as my clients who have developed a system. And you have to be incessant about figuring it out. It's not just, "Oh, I'm successful." You can't look at success. That is not the pinnacle of life, is to be successful. We can have a conversation about achievement and growth and prizes and, all that other stuff. We can have a conversation about that. But the pinnacle isn't success, it's how I feel about that success. Because if I do something just to get to a certain place and I don't feel good about it, not only am I not feeling good about the process to get there, but then when I get there, I feel like it's kinda tainted. I feel like it's kinda like, I don't really deserve it. I don't really feel like I did as much as I should have done to get here, but now that I'm here, it's kinda like, "Okay, I'll be here, but I don't know how to stay here, so Imma be here as long as I can, and then I'm just gonna go back and to do whatever." You can't live life like that. Alright, so this is what I want you guys to do for your homework assignment for your takeaway for today. I want you to I call it the tiny habit homework. I want you to pick one habit and make it really whatever your habit is that you really want to do, I want you to do it for 3 days straight. So whether it's I wanna work out more, pick 3 days this week that you wanna work out. If it's to stop eating out, 3 days this week, I normally go out to eat on Mondays with my coworkers, I normally go out to eat on Thursday with my coworkers. I'm not gonna do that this week. Instead of me going however many times I used to go out, I'm gonna bring my own food that day. Instead of sleeping in, I may be really tired and I have a chance to sleep in, but then if I sleep in, it's like a 50-50 chance if I work out or not. I'm gonna challenge you to not sleep in and to get your movement in, because those tiny habits, those habit stackings, you have to have that in order to be successful. Alright, so I was trying to get, like, a before and after picture of me, to show you what the systemed, but I can't couldn't find it, so, do you guys have any questions about anything that I said? You want me to go over anything, any specific conversations that you wanna have as it relates to, your personal stuff and what that looks like? I'm just making certain that 'cause I talked a lot, and then I just wanna make sure that I get all my notes. Yep, okay. So I got all my notes. Yay, us, we did it. Alright, mommy says you made it clear. I feel like my mommy has to say that though. Thank you, mommy. Okay, anybody else have anything else that they wanna say? Dr. Willette, thank you. She says, "Great topic." Thank you. Thank you for joining every single month and in person. It was so nice to see you. Um Christina said thank you. Okay, great. Well, made that clear as mud, so I'm so glad that you guys joined. So normally we spend about 45 minutes to an hour every single first of the month. It's always gonna be on YouTube. I am going to do so the system that I am trying to implement is to get you this, preview before the day before. The system that I had a couple of months ago, I was posting it the morning of or the afternoon of, and so my system is working, so my system is getting better, so I posted the conversation topic yesterday. But life, right? So eventually, I want to get to the point that within 2 weeks of us having a conversation, you can put on your calendar for the next month, like, oh, Lynette has posted that this new chat is going to happen at 1 p.m. on July 1st. I know it's a holiday weekend for July, so we'll kind of have to figure that out. But hopefully, whenever and wherever you are, you can join. So that's all I have, ladies. So thank you for joining, and I will see you later. Have a good night.